Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this last session. We have two further presentations, and we're looking forward to them. The first one is by Maria Pia di Buono, University of Naples, L'Orientale, and she will be addressing us from, I'll rather not pronounce, my Italian is not that good, but thank you very much, and over to you.
Okay, hi everyone. I hope that you can hear me, and I will share my screen. Just a moment. Okay. Yeah. Can you see my screen? I hope this is a yes. Okay, so thank you very much.
Please share full screen.
Yeah. Okay, so today I will present my work from taggare to blessare, verbal hybrid neologisms in Italian youth slang. I'm a researcher at the University of Naples L'Orientale in Italy. Let's start. About hybrid neologism in Italian, these are word formations that are usually created to native word derivation and formation rules, and they often present non-native structures, but still they constitute a significant part of contemporary Italian with a growing influence on the language system. There are different languages that are involved in the process, but mainly these hybrid neologisms are derived from English. Among the different types of hybrid neologisms that we can find in Italian, there are the verbal ones. These are formed by a non-native morpheme that is usually an English verb or noun, an Italian inflectional morpheme, and for verbal hybrid neologisms is usually the first pattern verb conjugation. In Italian, we have three different patterns for verb conjugation, verb inflections. And the first one is the most productive one. And then there are some native word formation rules and adjustments that are performed to create something that is close to the native language. So, for example, if we start from love, we add the first pattern verb conjugation, that is are, and then we perform these adjustments that in this case, they consist in basically the elision of the final vowel and doubling the remaining consonants. So we have some from love, we can create a verb like lovare. This process is known as Anglo-Italian neologisms or pseudo-Anglicisms, and they contribute to create what Lubello defined as bottom-up Anglicization, because they are often used not in an official way, but they are created from the bottom. What are the goals of this work? Documenting the language evolution, of course, identifying and classifying neologisms, but also discovering and describing semantically these hybrid formations. We will see that actually there are a lot of them that have been already recorded into dictionaries, but we will see that also there are some semantic shifts or changes in the use of these already recorded hybrid formations. About the methodology, we start from a list of hybrid formation candidates. Then we create the corpus, and still we want to analyze this as a bottom-up process. We consider the slang spoken by young people, so we will collect a specific set of documents for our corpus, but we will talk about this. And then we perform a topic modeling and of course a manual analysis. So what about the hybrid formation candidates? The main idea is that for verbal hybrid formations in Italian, derived from English morphemes, um, these are derived also using English verbs. So we extract all the single word English verbs from WordNet. Actually, we extract all the verbs from WordNet that are more than 11,000, and then we select just the single word verbs. Not because, I mean, this choice is not motivated by the fact that there are not multi-word verbs that are used to form the hybrid words in Italian, but because in this preliminary work, we want to focus just on single word verbs. Then we define a set of derivative rules. We manually define these rules according to the word formation rules in Italian and also to the adjustments for these formations. And we come up with a list of hybrid formation candidates. So about the derivative rules, we consider different type of non-native morphemes according to the type of the verbs, the English verb. So for example, for monosyllabic verbs ending with a consonant and a vowel, like love, as we say, there are some adjustments. And also the same for other type of verbs, like for example, verbs ending with a double consonant. In this case, for example, there are not adjustments at all. But of course, these derivative rules are not so strict, because in some cases we notice that there are some variations that are not predictable. So for example, we are assuming that verbs ending with Y can be both used in the way, I mean, they can have or not an adjustment, like in playare from play. We can have the word formation in which the Y is preserved, but also in which the Y is transformed into the I, Italian I. So we, through these derivative rules, we create a preliminary list of hybrid formation, and we notice that there are different types of hybrid formations. Among these, we notice the what we call the first category, which includes formations already recorded into dictionaries like taggare, from to tag. The second category, which includes words already identified but not included in dictionaries. For example, shippare, from ship to ship. We will discuss this later. I just want to say as a side note that when we say that these words have been already identified, but not included in dictionaries, this means that we check authoritative sources, and we notice that they are discussing the neologism, but still the word is not included in the official dictionary. This is the case, for example, for the Treccani web portal. We refer to this web portal. Treccani is the first Italian encyclopedia. It has been created almost 1 century ago. And so it's a very authoritative source for this. And they also have on their web portal, they also have a section dedicated to describe neologisms. And then there is the third category that includes words that are not present in dictionaries, and they have not been discussed so far in authoritative sources like the Treccani website. Among the list of the formations that are in our list, we also notice that there are several homonymous words, like, for example, zappare. Zappare is a verb, an Italian verb, can be both a hybrid formation from the verb to zap, but also it can be an Italian verb, a native verb that means hold the ground. This language overlapping happens also with other categories, not only with verbs. So for example, for pronoun adjectives like questo, which can be both derived from to quest in English, and questo will be the first person, singular person in the indicative tense. Or it can be also questo, like simple, the adjective or pronoun, which means this. So what we did, basically, we used this first list of candidates and we collect our corpus using the we collect our corpus of tweets, since we want to analyze the slang, the young slang. We use Twitter at the time, now X, because we collect these tweets during the 2021. And how we collect the tweets. There is this habit, I'm not sure that is an habit besides the outside Italy, but in Italy there is this habit among young people of commenting TV shows using social media. And Twitter is one of the preferred social media, at least it was at the time. So we select some hashtags on the basis of the daily trending topics related to Italian TV shows. So you can see, for example, there is the hashtag Amici, that is the name, friends means, that is the name of a famous TV show in Italy. And you can see also that some hashtags are very, very productive, highly productive, like, for example, Gregorelli. We will talk about this hashtag, is related to a TV show, but it's not the name of the TV show. So we created this Italian TV tweets I3T corpus. Then we used our preliminary list of possible hybrid formations and check on our corpus the frequency and presence of these hybrid formations. And we notice that some of them are not present, of course, and also if you consider that our list of possible hybrid formation candidates is formed semi-automatically, of course, there are formations that are not used in the language as well. At the end, we come up with a list of these verbs that are 10 verbs. Let me check, yes, are 10 or 11. Anyway, this is the list of verbs we come up with, and we check if they belong to to which category they belong. So for example, we have blessare, from to bless, that belongs to the third category, which means that the verb is not discussed or recognized or recorded into dictionaries. But we also have, and we keep these actually, hybrid formations that have been already recorded. And why we keep them? Because we want to check if they are still used in the first as first step, but also if there are some changes in the use of these already recorded hybrid formations. And you can see that among the candidates that we are checking in our corpus, that we found in our corpus actually, there are two that belong to the third category and two that belong to the second category, which means that they have been discussed but not included in dictionaries. So for example, Lobare has been discussed not only in the Treccani web portal, but also in other authoritative sources and web portal, but still he has not been included into the dictionary. And it's more than 10 years now since Lobare has been recognized as neologism, but is not been included so far. And then there are, most of them have been already recorded. What about the frequency of these candidates, we can see that in our corpus, for some of them, actually we found a lot of occurrences, like for example, scipare, we have almost 2,000 occurrences, so the frequency is very high, but for some of them, the frequency is very low. And this occurs for two different types of methodology, because we cannot apply the topic modeling methodology when we have few occurrences, but of course we can apply a manual analysis in those cases. So let's see about the analysis. We apply this topic methodology, modeling methodology. Topic modeling is a way, an approach to describe topics within documents. It's based on different techniques. One of them is the latent Dirichlet allocation, developed by Blay et al. In 2003. This is a three-level hierarchical Bayesian model, and it's a generative probabilistic model for collections of discrete data, such as text corpora. The basic idea behind the LDA is that documents are represented as random mixtures over latent topics, where each topic is characterized by distribution over words. The second approach that we use is a recent one, that is per topic, developed by Grutensorn in 2022. This is a neural topic modeling, and is based on the use of word embeddings with the class-based TF-IDF term frequency for inverse document frequency procedure. We use both, and there are why this, because they are different. LDA, basically the main differences are in that LDA uses bag of words for representing documents, which means that LDA does not consider semantic relations among words, and representations do not account for the context of words in a sentence. The LDA uses bag of words, so this is a different approach from the BERT topic, where each document is converted into its embedding representation using a pre-trained language model. Then the dimensionality of the embeddings is reduced to optimize the clustering process, and topic representations are extracted using a custom class-based variation of this TF-IDF. How we apply topic modeling? We first pre-process our text, of course, through tokenization, lemmatization, and so on. And then, since topic modeling is based on the hypothesis that we know the number, I mean, we have to indicate the number of topics that we presume are in our collection of documents, and we are not sure about the optimal number of topics, we apply an iterative modeling, which means that we move from 2 to 20 topics, and for each of them, we evaluate the coherence of the topic. So in this example, you can see an extract from the LDA coherence evaluation for the number of topics. So we can see that for each of the topics, like 5, we evaluate the coherence, and on the basis of this, we can choose the optimal number of topics. For what we see here, that are just 5 steps, 6 steps in the iterative modeling, we can see, for example, that in this case, the number 10 topics is the optimal number for this type of documents. About the text processing, just a note about, we perform 2 different types of text pre-processing, because we noticed that there are differences in the results. Of course, this is true also for both approaches, LDA and the BERT topic. We call this a shallow text preprocessing when we just proceed with the tokenization, lemmatization, and hashtag removing. And we call this deep preprocessing when actually we perform some constrained lemmatization or we add some words to be removed. So I will show you now some of the results for shippare, from to ship. I want just to say that in some cases, at least when shippare is discussed in the official websites for Italian, it is defined as a derivation from the word, from the noun relationship. But actually the word the verb to ship has been recorded in English dictionaries, which means that for sure is not related to transportation, of course, is a verb derived from a noun that is a relationship, but still in English is recognized as verb. So we can say that this is a verbal hybrid formation derived from an English verb. We can see that there are, in this case, for the shallow preprocessing, BERT provides as optimal number of topics 13, and we can see that there are names assigned to each of the topics, and also the optimal coherence score on the right, at the bottom part of the right image. You can see that the coherence value is 61, so it's not that bad, but not so good as well. Looking at the deep results, the deep preprocessing results for the topic modeling with BERT topic, we notice that the deep preprocessing produces actually a optimal number of topics, that is 2. So we have less topics because we remove some words and other, we constrain the lemmatization of some words, etc. But still the optimal coherence score is a little bit lower than the previous one. About LDA, shallow and deep results, you can see that LDA, based on bag of words, actually provides a number of topics that is less topics, but the optimal coherence values are very, very low. We cannot consider these reliable, because they are 34 for the shallow preprocessing and 33 for the deep one, but still there are some insights that we can use from these results. And actually our topic interpretation, that is something that we have to do manually, of course, is based on both the results from BERT topic and from the LDA. So we can see these are some of the tweets where we can see the context of the verb shippare in the first person, like I ship more Prelemi than Gregorelli. Prelemi and Gregorelli are two names that are related to two couples, actually. So Prelemi is basically a blended name from two family names of this couple. And the same is for Gregorelli. So we see that the verb is used with the name that is a name of a couple. And we check, and sorry, in the second example, we can see that it is used with two personal name, proper name, ship Pierre and Elisabetta. And if we look at the Oxford Dictionary definition, we see that ship means ship can be used in a pattern like ship A and B, or ship A with B. So basically this, the use that has been done, retrieved in our corpus for shippare is overlaps with the English ones. I will skip this part on postare because I think that otherwise we will run out of time. I want to discuss, because it's interesting actually, the verb blessare. Blessare, from to bless. We found just few occurrences in our corpus, but actually this verb is very used among young people. This is something that I can say observer, I mean, not using the data in our corpus, this of course can depend on the data that we collect. But actually we found a few occurrences, and we found this pattern, blessare someone with something or with someone, that is actually a different type of use compared to the English one, because in English we can use be blessed with something. That means that we are blessed with something good. We have a quality or something like that. But in this case, blesses us with his accent, the first example, is actually a mean used to bless someone. I'm blessing you through this thing, by means of this. And the same is for the second example, where there is the name of a person, personal name. So I bless you with Gianluca, which means that Gianluca is the mean I'm using to bless you. Blessare is not discussed in authoritative sources like Treccani Encyclopedia or Treccani web portal, but I found it in this slango.it that is a kind of web portal which collects neologisms. And it was quite weird because the definition, sorry, I just translated a small part of the definition, the last one that says, refer to animals when they approach or visit people. That is completely something I will not say wrong, because they provide some examples, which means that there exists this use, or at least it used to exist, this use in slang, but still is not the way blessare is using now, is used now, sorry. So, sorry, I will go back to the previous slide, because I have few minutes. I want to talk about this blessare, because blessare was used at the beginning with for the meaning blessare the timeline of someone's timeline with some nice pictures, like cat pictures or something like that. This is why in slango.it the reported definition is this one and refers to animals, but this is not the case in our corpus. So just some observations. We notice, analyzing the other occurrences we didn't discuss now, that, for example, there is the formation zoomare, from to zoom, that has been recorded in dictionaries, but actually we didn't find this verbal hybrid formation. Instead, we found the light verb construction. So what we found in our corpus was fare lo zoom, which means make the zoom, basically. This is probably due to the fact that there is also another use that is having the zoom, to have a zoom, which means that someone has a picture that has been zoomed. This is the case of the second example. I have had this zoom for a long time, and blah, blah. So this is basically another use of zoom. So probably fare lo zoom is related to the fact that there is also avere lo zoom. And then another thing that we notice, that there is the noun flop, that is a borrowed noun recorded into dictionaries, but actually this one is not used as light verb construction, because in Italian it has been recorded the use fare flop, which means make a flop, but instead in our corpus, we found that young people are using floppare. That has not been recorded so far. Another observation or other observations are related to the fact that there is a lexical asymmetry. So, for example, we notice that postare, that is a verb recorded in 2013, is actually still used, but also repostare is used from repost, and repost is not recorded. The same for follow and unfollow, where followare is recorded and unfolloware is not recorded, but still is used. And since it is not recorded, the antonym, actually, we found also some occurrences of a different type of hybrid formation, that is defolloware, where we have de, which means basically is a prefix that is used to form the antonym of followare. So this is Italian morpheme, English verb plus Italian morpheme. So we found both. Final observations. Occurrences are influenced by the hashtag. Some hybrid formations are not used, or maybe they are content dependent or context, dependent, which means that we didn't find them because we select a specific type of data. Also, we notice that there are some occurrences that are derived from nouns instead of verbs. So, for example, spoiler is spoilerare, not spoilare, that we were expecting actually.
Sorry,
And,
I
yes,
unfortunately have
okay.
to interrupt you because our
Yeah, sorry,
time has
I
run
have the
out.
time now. I saw that I'm out of time. Okay, so just some selected references, and that's it. I'm sorry.
Good. Thank you very much for that interesting presentation. And I think we will have to move on to the next one. So your email address is available in the program. And if anybody has questions, I hope it will be in order if they...
questions, sorry.
Good, if they write to you directly and communicate in that way. But thank you very much. Good. So our last presentation for the day, last but not least, is from representatives from 2 continents. It's Paola Cañete-González from Chile, and then also Elisabet Llopart-Saumell from Barcelona in Spain. And the topic, lexical change and variation in parenting domain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonja, and let's extend this big thank you as well to all the organizers of this workshop. So good afternoon or good morning to all of you, depending from where you are following this workshop today. My colleague Paola and I are going to present the preliminary results of an ongoing project devoted to the parenting domain. And the title of this presentation is the following, as you can see. So to do that, we are going to show you the structure of this presentation. And let's start with the introduction. We can say that society has experienced vertiginous changes in different domains that, of course, have an impact on our daily lives. And because of these new trends, speakers are exposed to new words that have appeared precisely to denominate all these new realities. That said, the main objective of this presentation, of this work, is in the first place to observe the changes experienced in the field of parenting by analyzing the terms in Spanish language that have appeared in the last few years devoted to this field. For example, here we can see some neonyms such as crianza afectiva, effective parenting, crianza positiva, positive parenting, crianza con apego, attachment parenting, crianza respetuosa, respectful parenting, or crianza natural, natural parenting. And the emergence of new words in this sphere is only the tip of the iceberg of this phenomenon. And as you can see in these examples, they can be considered variants in some way, as we will explain later on. So we are going to the next slide. In the second place, the objective or the applied objective consists in the design of a glossary proposal devoted to parenting. The online glossaries available so far in Spanish provide quite reliable information on this topic, but they also show some limitations, as we will see in the following slides. Here you can see in this slide a list with the titles and the authors of the vocabularies available on this topic. Some of which are more general, devoted to new parents, fathers and mothers, motherhood, or more specific, devoted to positive discipline, breastfeeding, pediatrics, and child psychological development, and so on. But if we have a closer look to all these vocabularies, we see that regarding the list of terms they contain, some of them do not show this list of terms or this traditional list of terms in alphabetical order, but short text in which the key terms are properly marked. Even if some of them, as we can see in the following slide, do offer this traditional list of terms. Sorry, can we see the following slide? Thanks, Paola. Here we can see the traditional list of terms in alphabetical order, but if we have a closer look, we can realize that some are not properly lemmatized regarding the limitation of the polylexic terms, or that they show some plural forms which are not lexicalized. Then if we have a look at the definitions, we see that the so-called glossaries are not really glossaries in some cases, because they provide full text or articles on a specific terms. Here, for example, devoted to the baby sleep. But they do not offer lexicographic or terminological definitions. Other sources do provide definitions, although some of them could be improved to make them more systematic and accurate if we take into account the literature devoted to terminographic work. So in this sense, some of the limitations we have observed in the online glossaries that we would like to take into account when designing our terminographic proposal are the following. We would like to include term variants, because we can see, since it's in some cases there are new realities or new methods explained, there are also different ways to refer to the same or similar methods. So it's interesting to have a closer look to do this denominative variation in order to avoid ambiguity and confusion. Then it would be also important to add a thematic tag, or to classify the terms in different sub fields in the parenting domain. And finally, to provide accurate and systematic definitions, taking into account, for example, the subfield to which they belong. As we have said, Social changes lead to new words or neologisms. And nevertheless, we see that no specific studies devoted to neology of the parenting domain can be found, unlike what happens in the case of other social phenomena, such as the COVID pandemic or the feminist movement. However, other non-neological studies on the parenting domain do point out that this area has experienced relevant innovations in the last decades, since society is increasingly more interested in learning skills and methods on how to take care of and educate their children. To design the glossary proposal, we are going to follow the traditional terminographic workflow. We're going to define who the users are going to be, which is the particular topic we are going to work with, which are the objectives, or which is the main objective of this glossary. In second place, in order to prepare it, we are going to define the sources, the corpus, from which extracting the term candidates. Finally, we are going to select the final terms that will be included in the vocabulary, and we are going to design the microstructure to decide which categories each entry will have, such as the grammatical category, the subject area, the definition, the nominative variants, and some additional comments. In this sense, we take into account, we have a particular interest, as we have mentioned, to represent the nominative variation in these entries, in this glossary, to analyze as well, to avoid confusion and ambiguity, but we would like to analyze also which are the causes of this variation. To do that, we're going to take into account the studies developed by Fresha, devoted to the different causes of the nominative variation. We are going to focus on these three causes, the sociolinguistic, if there are some linguistic interferences, such as borrowings from another language from which the translations in Spanish come from, discursive variation, sometimes to avoid repetition, or depending on the degree of specialization of the text, or to give emphasis to a particular feature of the concept described. And finally, the cognitive causes that will include the conceptual imprecision or the ideological distance, as we will see, and also some differences on conceptualization. And regarding this conceptual information displayed by the term variants, we find also very interesting the studies from Fernandez Silva and Fresha and Cabré that offer some points or some criteria to understand this conceptual variation, such as multidimensionality, the perspective or the point of view from which we explain or refer to a particular concept, the motivation of the concept, or the rhetorical function, depending on where the term is found in the text, in the title, in the introduction, or in the main body of the text. So now Paola will explain you the methodology we have followed.
Thanks, Elisabet. Well, to identify terms related to our subject, we choose 6 blogs and magazines from the field of parenting. They were written in Spanish from Spain and Chile, according to the language varieties of the authors of the presentation, Elisabet and I. So we choose Suavinex, which is a childcare brand in Spain, the Spanish Association of Pediatrics, an official association. Then Rearing with Common Sense, that is a Spanish blog related to parenting in which professionals from different areas participate. My Baby and I, which is a Spanish magazine dedicated to accompanying motherhood and fatherhood. A Chilean Net of Respectful Parenting, which is a group of professionals from different areas who promote respectful parenting. And then Chile Grows With You, which is a Chilean government program whose mission is to accompany, protect, and support children and their families. From each source, we selected 3 articles related to parenting methods in general and to specific topics such as baby wearing and sleeping. The articles were published between 2018 and 2024. Neonyms were identified according to the following criteria. According to the theory that they were terms, from a conceptual perspective, that they belong to the field of attachment parenting, and finally, according to the lexicographic criteria, that they were neologisms, that is, that they were not documented in the dictionary of Spanish language. In this way, we obtained 107 neonyms, which were studied according to the attachment theory. I'm sorry. The attachment theory was formulated by the British psychologist John Bowlby in 1969, who viewed attachment as a product of evolutionary processes. A few years later, attachment parenting emerged, a parenting philosophy that proposed methods aiming to promote the attachment of mother and infant, not only by maximal parental empathy and responsiveness, but also by continuous bodily closeness and touch. The term was coined by the American pediatrician William Sears. In 1993, Sears and his wife published the Baby Book, which became the first comprehensive manual for AP parents. And then in 2001, they published the Attachment Parenting Book. The methods of attachment parenting include 7 practices or principles that, according to Sears, form a synergetic ensemble and that are based on the child's biological needs. They are, as you see here in the slides, birth bonding, breastfeeding, baby wearing, co-sleeping, belief in the language value of your baby's cry, beware of baby trainers, and balance. So we use these 7 B's of attachment parenting to classify our neonyms, and we obtained these results. As you can see, the most productive categories were birth bonding, balance, and baby wearing. We will see some examples later, but here you can see some of the neonyms we found. Here we can see the more frequent words related to the attachment parenting: emotional, parenting, attachment, skin, baby wearing, breastfeeding, contact, bond, among others. In these slides, you can see some examples of each category. Remember that more productive categories were birth bonding, where we can find neonyms like secure attachment and emotional security. Then we have balance. According to the attachment parenting, parents must seek balance. Do not go to the extreme of authoritarianism, but do not fall to the extreme of permissiveness either. That's why we found words like horizontal bonding, emotional intelligence, and developmental psychology. In breastfeeding, we found the same word, breastfeeding, and nipple confusion. In baby wearing, we found kangaroo care and free hands, one of the advantages of using a baby carrier. And in co-sleeping, we found night waking and sudden infant death syndrome. In baby's cry as a tool, we found infantile colic and night terror. And in Beware of Baby Trainers, we have positive discipline and child autonomy. The principles of attachment parenting are being responsive and sensitive to the baby's needs, nurturing the child through touch and creating a bond that allows the child's need to be easily deciphered and cared for. In this context, we can see that words like contact, attachment, and bond are frequent in the creation of new words or new concepts. It's in a new way to parenting. For example, skin to skin contact, attachment figure, and affective bond. Here we can also see terminological variation. We found different ways to name this type of parenting: attachment parenting, conscious parenting, in-arms parenting, natural parenting, and respectful parenting. This terminological variety can lead one to think that they are different concepts. However, in one way or another, they all come from Bowlby's attachment theory. Finally, it's important to note that these new terms have positive connotations, as we can also see in other categories. In this slide, we can see that these terminological variants were coined by different authors, but they all come from the attachment theory. For example, attachment parenting was coined by Sears and his wife with their book published in 2001. The term in-arms parenting appears in 2008 because of the International Baby Wearing Week, which is celebrated during the first full week of October each year. Conscious parenting was coined by Shefali Tzbari in her book, The Conscious Parent. Respectful parenting was coined by Janet Lansbury in her book, Elevating Child Care, a guide to respectful parenting. And on the other hand, natural parenting seems to be a common concept coming from a natural way of parenting in an instinctive way. Related to baby wearing, attachment theory states that being with his mother or his father has always been the place where the baby feels calmest. This age-old tradition has evolved into a valuable tool that aids in physical, emotional, and social development. In this category, we found, on the one hand, different words related to different types of baby carriers, like ring sling, elastic or woven wrap, May-tie, for example. On the other hand, physiology and ergonomic are important concepts. We can see neonyms like ergonomic baby wearing, safe baby wearing, M position. In Spanish, this is called frog position, and physiological curvature. They are all terms related to the importance of the baby's position in the baby carrier. So from what we have presented, we pretend, as Elisabet said, to elaborate a glossary of parenting neonyms, where basic non-neological terms will be excluded, like parents, baby, emotion, or respect, for example. According to terminographic work, we can say that it will be a glossary for parents about parenting in order to provide rigorous and systematic information. For the microstructure, it will include terminological variants and, when possible, an explanation of the origin of the term. The main objective is for the glossary to be an interdisciplinary project between linguists and different professionals in the field of parenting. Finally, we can say that we have seen that parenting domain has experienced several changes due to social transformation or new research on developmental psychology, or greater access to information, education, among other reasons. This has caused the appearance of new terms compiled in the form of glossary or list of glossaries that are not rigorous according to the terminological work. Besides, the different variants can cause confusion among users. So, from a terminographic perspective, there is a gap that should be properly covered, and that is our goal. Well, here you can see reference, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to our two presenters. That was really very insightful, and I think you have set the scene for a lot of new research in other languages in the world as well, where I'm sure that cultural traditions will also play a big role once one looks further into this field. Are there any questions from the floor?
Thank you. I have two questions, please. One is that you mentioned that you selected 3 articles from each of the 6 sources. What was your criteria for the selection of the articles? Were they randomly selected? Were they already selected with some purpose? Because those articles also affect your findings.
May I answer the question, Paola? Yeah. Well, it's a very good question. Maybe we didn't mention this information in our presentation. It was not randomly that we have chosen the articles, but we, having a look at the information available in these blogs, we've seen that some topics may have more innovation. So with this, taking into account these observations, we decided to focus on methods devoted to parenting and then baby wearing, mainly, yes, because we have realized that they show more lexical innovations. And that would be useful to make our pilot test or our pilot study.
Thank you. My second question is, how do you relate this to lexicography? Besides the fact that you have originally selected these terms that do not appear in dictionaries, how do you propose to include them in the glossary? What kind of information will you give there? Did you already prepare some sample entries? Do you have already the microstructure you have in mind? How many such entries do you expect to have?
Paola, do you want to go ahead?
No, we have to work in this. We have to select the entries. We want to include variants, because we have realized that there are a lot of terms which means the same, like the conscious parenting, and that may make the user to be confused. So we want to go to the origin of these terms to explain in the glossary. We don't know how many entries, Elisabet. I think because we have to search. And we have also realized that there is words like contact, bond that exist in the dictionary, but now it is used to create a new word like secure attachment, and it's different. It has a different meaning. So we want to show this, how this concept has evolved. in this new way of parenting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That concludes this last session of the GlobalX workshop.